So she's the first minister to resign from the coalition government on an issue of principle. Sayeeda Warsi had been making her unhappiness known behind the scenes over government policy on Gaza. Today, though, she went public, dramatically announcing her resignation on Twitter, having sent David Cameron a letter saying his policy was morally indefensible. I've been talking exclusively to Baroness Warsi, and we'll hear from her in a moment. But first, here's how her shock announcement reverberated around Westminster and beyond. When Sayeeda Warsi snuffed out a candle last night to remember the World War I dead, she'd already taken the decision to extinguish her ministerial career, tweeting this morning that she'd resigned on a point of principle over the government's policy towards Gaza. In her letter to the Prime Minister, she wrote, "Our approach and language during the current crisis in Gaza is morally indefensible, is not in Britain's national interest, and will have a long-term detrimental impact on our reputation internationally and domestically." The first Muslim woman to sit in the cabinet, Baroness Warsi also said the government's failure to take a more robust stance against Israel will radicalise British Muslims. The Chancellor, George Osborne, appeared at a loss to know why she'd quit.
Well, I think this is a disappointing and, frankly, unnecessary decision. The British government is working with others in the world to bring peace to Gaza, and we do have now a tentative ceasefire, which, of course, we all hope will hold.
Baroness Warsi and her parliamentary colleagues have watched in horror as the death toll in Gaza has risen relentlessly. Many of the victims have been children, prompting Conservatives to demand not just words, but action from their government.
I've also written to the Prime Minister to express my grave concern, and I think that we do need a far stronger response to the humanitarian disaster that's unfolding in Gaza, where civilians are unable to leave and where they're even being bombed in UN sanctuaries. It's totally unacceptable, and we need to apply the same standards to civilian deaths in Gaza as we would to other populations.
To my colleagues who say, can you do a bit more megaphone diplomacy over here or over there, offend one side or the other side a bit more, I say it is more important to achieve the result, which I think we all want to see, which is an end to the killing.
Baroness Warsi wants the government to do more than simply review £8 billion worth of arms exports, putting an immediate embargo in place instead. Other ministers who might once have backed her up were removed at the reshuffle, leaving hers a lonely voice in a government where foreign policy is increasingly dictated by number 10.